Hello, fifth graders. Today we're going to do a lesson 2.3, division with two-digit divisors. Our goal is to be able to use base 10 blocks to model and understand the division of whole numbers. All right, now today we are using a very different strategy to divide whole numbers. It is called the quick picture method. The quick picture method. This is not the strategy we'll end up using, but it is a different way to look at how the process works visually by using base 10 blocks. It's not super easy strategy, but do stick with it. It will make you think, which, thinking is good for you, right? Also, moms and dads, if you're listening right now, just know this is not our final strategy. This is just one way that we are looking at this process. We do want students to know how to use the strategy. It's not easy. We are going to be doing some work with it in class, so, it's okay. You're going to make it. The fifth graders are going to make it. It's going to be just fine. Our first problem is 156 divided by 12. This one I want you just to watch. I'm going to use the base 10 blocks to show you how it works. We'll do it with the real base 10 blocks in class, but I want you to watch it first so that you can see how to do it, and then we'll do it together in your notes. Okay, the problem we're going to be solving is 156 divided by 12. The first thing I'm going to do is show 156 with my base 10 blocks. So I've got 100, here's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then I've got 6 ones. So 156 right here. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take care of a big chunk of it. My divisor is 12. I know that if I do 12 times 10, that gives me 120. I'm going to show my 120 like this. Here's 120. And this is kind of like I've said, okay, well, I have 156 cookies. I'm sharing them with 12 people. I can give everyone 10, and I know that's going to be enough. So here's my 12 people. Kind of think of my 12 people over here. And they each get 10 cookies. Okay, but I still have some left. In fact, if I take 156 cookies that I had, subtract 120 that I've already given them, that gives me 36 cookies left. So that's enough where I can give everyone a few more, right? So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So if I've given them 10, I have enough where I can give them 11. So now everyone has 11 cookies. So right here, here's 10 and then 11. I have enough where I could give them one more. So now, instead of 11, they have 12. So here's like a group of 10, 11, 12. And I even have enough where I could give them one more. So 10, 11, 12, 13. So every person has 13 cookies, which, by the way, is my quotient. Some people like to look at this type of problem and say, well, it's kind of like an array. So right here, this would be my 12. This right here is 13. 12 times 13 is, 156. I've just taken my 12 groups, given everyone 13. So 12 times 13 is 156. 156 divided by 12 is 13. And we've just showed it with our base 10 blocks. All right, so now you're going to be doing it with me. We don't have base 10 blocks at home, so we need to show it with pictures. That's why it's called the quick picture method. The process is very similar, though. First, with 156, we know that we're going to be showing eventually 156. We're showing it in 12 groups. I'm going to start by taking out groups of 10. So I'm actually showing 120 first. 12 times 10 is 120. So that's what I've just shown right here is 120. This is my 12 groups. Think about my 12 groups right here. This is my 12 groups. And what I've shown so far right here is 10. But I still have some left. 156 minus 120 gives me 36 left. So I'm not quite done yet. I still have my 12 groups, but now I need to show where my 36 are going to go. So I know that with 36, I can give this group one more. That's like my 10 stick, and then ones. So now each group has 11. I've just used 12, which means I have 24 more. So I'm going to give each group another one. There's my 10 stick. There's another group of 12. And I have just enough to give each group one more. So now, looking at my array, I still have my 12 groups. And then down here, I now have 13. Think about it like this right here. That's one group. That's equal to my quotient, which is equal to 13. And actually, you probably should write that. Equal to 13. So 156 divided by 12 is 13. And I can look at one of my groups right here and see, okay, here's a group of 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's my quotient. Each of these other groups have 13 also, 10, 11, 12, 13. These groups do also. I'm just not showing each individual little square. Right here, that's still a group of 13. I'm just not showing each individual little square. But it still comes up to be 13. So 156 divided by 12 is 13. Okay, again, this next one, you're going to watch me do it with the base 10 blocks, and then we'll do it together. Please watch this one first. Okay, the problem that we're going to show with our base 10 blocks and dividing is 154 divided by 14. So first I'm going to show my 154. So here's 100, here's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then 4 more. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give each of my 14 groups here a group of 10. So, thinking 14 times 10 is 140. So here's my 100. Here's 10, 20, 30, 40. So now each of those 14 groups has 10 in them. Here's my 14 groups going this way. And then each of those has 10 in them. I still have some left though. In fact, 154 minus 140 is 14. Here's my 10. I have enough to give everyone one more going this way. And then here's my 4 more. I have enough to give here. So that now everyone has 11. Every group has 11. Think of this right here as a group. And this right here is a group. This right here, those are all groups. These are groups also. I just can't separate them out, but they're still groups. They're still separated there. Okay? We can also think about this as an array. So right here is 14. Right here is 11. 11 times 14 is 154. Inverse operation of that, 154 divided by 14 equals 11. All right, you're going to do that same problem with me now, 154 divided by 14. So first I'm going to show a group of 10s. So I'm going to do 14 times 10, which is 140. So here's my hundreds block, here's my tens. So I've just showed now 140. I have 14 left that I have to show, and that should work out pretty nicely. Right here, this is my 14 groups. So if I have 14 more to show, that should give each one more. It's like I've given out I have 154 cookies. I've given 14 people, 10 of them, I have enough to give each one more. So here's my 14, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and each person gets that many, which comes out to be 11. 10 and 11, right there. Okay, let's do another one. This one I'm not going to show with base 10 blocks first, so we're just going to work on it together with that quick picture. 132 divided by 12. So the first thing I'm thinking is I'm going to take out a big chunk and say 12 times 10 is 120. So I'm going to show my 120 first. Here's 100, here's 10, and here's 20. 100. Let me erase that. 132 minus 120 leaves me 12 left to show. Well, I can give each one of these 12 groups right here. Here's my 12 groups. I can give that one more. So here's my 12 that I need to show, and then each of those groups has 11 in them. So my quotient is 11. Keep in mind, too, that even though these aren't separated in my hundreds and in my tens, that's a group also. Each of these are groups. I have 12 groups. This right here is a little bit easier to see that, oh yeah, that's a group of 11. Just remember that these, going across this way, those are groups of 11 also. Just a little bit harder to see. Okay, next, let's do 192 divided by 16. I'm going to take out a big chunk of that first and say 16 times 10 is 160. So I'm going to show my 160 first. Now, you might be wondering, why am I always doing my 16 times 10 or 14 times 10 or 12 times 10? How do you know what to do here? Well, I'm looking at my divisor right here and saying I can make my groups, my 16 groups, right off the bat, each of them have 10 in them, 10 going this way across. So that's what I'm doing first, because then I can take care of the leftovers after that. So if I have 192, I've already used 160. That gives me 32 left. Those numbers, that's a little bit less. That's a little bit easier to divide out. If I'm thinking that I need to split up my 32 into 16 groups, I know that that's going to give each one 2 more. Kind of imagine I have 192 cookies. I'm sharing them with 16 people. My 16 people right here. I've given each of them 10 cookies. I have 32 left. That means I could give each of them 2 more. So that's what I'm going to do, is going to give each of them 2 more. Now, this time with my 32, normally 32 looks like this, right? 31 and 32. This time, though, I have to split up one of my groups of 10 into actually 10 separate little ones to be able to make this work. But it's still going to come out the same. So I've got my group of 10s here, and then I'm going to give each one 2 more. So here's a group of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then here's another group of 16, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. This right here, this equals 32. It doesn't look exactly how we're used to it looking, but it does equal 32. Let's check. Here's 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So now each of my groups, my 16 groups, each of them has 12 in them. So my quotient is equal to 12. Each of those 16 groups has 12 in them, which is 192 things total that I started with. Okay, this problem is yours to practice. So 169 divided by 13. I will be giving a full explanation of this one when you're done, so Come on back and listen. Okay, here we go. First, I'm going to take out my big chunk of 13 times 10. So that is 130 that I'm going to be showing first. So here's my 100, and then 110, 20, 30. That leaves me with, let me subtract here, that leaves me with 39 left to show. So that should get me a few more per group, right? So here's a group of 13. There's one more. So now in each of those groups I have 11. That leaves me with 26 left to show. So here's another group of 13. Now each of those groups have 12 in them. And I have one more group of 13 that I can show. My quotient, I can see it right here, is 13. Please, oh please, oh please on this one. Let me know how you're doing on this one. This wasn't the easiest, I know that. So please be honest so that if you can do this, you know, I'm going to have you helping some people. If you don't get this at all and you need some help, then we're going to take care of that also. Please make sure that you also write down something that you learned remembered, or a good tip, or a question that you still have. We will be sharing that in class tomorrow. Okay, you made it through one of the toughest homeworks in 5th grade, one of the toughest strategies. We definitely will be working on this in class tomorrow, so good on you if you get it and you're ready to go on your own. But don't stress out if you're not sure and you still have lots of questions. We'll take care of them in class tomorrow, don't you worry. See you in class. Bye.